this is division, and the most common division sign, I guess, well, maybe in just math, is this division sign right here, which really is just a subtraction sign with two dots above and below, whatever, okay? However you look at it, that's division. But there's other ways to show division. And you can show division with a fraction, which I do believe we see in the assignment for 2.1. So we're going to need to see that. And, be careful with fractions. Fractions, they're very dangerous. They've been known to destroy other people's lives. And you don't know who they are because their lives are destroyed now, right? So we don't want it to destroy your life, which is why we're going to start here with division, which is really what it is. Now, this is, some of you see this sign right here. This is long division. We're going to wait to see long division until 2.3. Maybe it's 2.4, I forget. But long division's nice. It's the way that we're going to be using most of our division in this class, using long division. Now, you could just use a slash, which is, of course, one of the computer keys. But all these read the same. This is 12 divided by 2. This is 12 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2. But this one with long division, it changes the order. It's 12 inside the division there divided by 2. It's 12 divided by 2. It's backwards on this one. Now, from what I understand, not that I think we're able to show any examples, but in some other countries, they actually show it in order. So it would actually show long division actually, if I remember right, it shows more like this. But I could be wrong on that. So if you do come from a different country and you use that format, that's fine. I'm not going to show it just because I'm not familiar with it, but just because I'm not familiar with it doesn't mean you cannot use it. So if you prefer to use a different method, that's okay. Now, some of the vocabulary with division. So with multiplication, we only had two vocabulary words. We had factors and then the product, right? The factors, either one of the two numbers being multiplied is a factor. And then the result is the product. But with division, it's crucial to distinguish between the two. The first of the two numbers is the dividend in the division. And then the second number in the division is the divisor. Dividend, then divisor. And then the result is your quotient. Now, this isn't really formal definition stuff, but the dividend tells you how much is going to be distributed. Now, by distributed, we mean split up. And by split up, we mean we're going to split it into equal groups, which is why we divide it, right? And then the divisor, the second number here, tells us how many equal groups we're going to split this up into. So when dividing, it's like asking, how many times will this number go into this one or fit into this one? All right? And sometimes that's the more appropriate question. Like if we use the same sentence or question on this problem right here, 12 divided by 2, this is really asking, how many 2's are there in 12? How many of the divisor are in the dividend? Now, you don't hear divisor and dividend too often in your everyday life, which means that it's going to take some getting used to of this vocabulary. Factors and product, maybe, but divisor, dividend, and quotient, probably not so much. But we use these often enough in this class, and often enough, I would say, in 950 and 980 and even 1010, that I think it's a good idea to get used to the vocabulary of these three right here. Dividend, divisor, quotient. Now at the bottom here you see, if by chance the divisor does not go into the dividend equally, like you can't split it up equally amongst this number of groups, then what you're going to end up with is a remainder. It's some amount that's left over. We should not see that today, any remainders, but just know that we will once we get into the division section of this unit. So division and multiplication have their own fact families, okay? Just like addition and subtraction do. And the multiplication, they just may help you to divide, because if you can memorize those basic multiplication facts, then you can change a division problem into multiplication and just solve for one of the unknowns. And we're going to be using the table for some of this stuff, all right? But what you'll notice on this is if you look at a factor times a factor is a product. If you take the product, and this is part of the fact family, if you take the product and divide it by either one of the factors, you'll get the other factor, right? I say 12 divided by 4, that's my one factor, I get the other factors, 3. That's part of the fact family. Or if I take my product 12 and divide it by the first factor, 3, I get the other factor, 4. So having these fact families and knowing them should help us to solve our some of the division problems. Because what we're going to do is we're going to start with something like this, 12 divided by 4. Okay, then you'd think, oh, 4 times what is 12? And that's where knowing those the multiplication facts will come in very, very handy. And it doesn't, again, 3 times 4 is the same as 4 times 3. So as long as you got one of the two memorized, then you should have that down pat.